Hello everybody, Andrew Casey at Hypersanity Books for Kids. It's been a while since I've posted, and most of the reason is I have been working on some young adult fiction novels that do require a lot of time. However, I'm finding a bit more balance, and today's video I'm talking about incorporating the heavy themes of your story into middle grade fiction. And in today's focus, I'm focusing on Diary of a Wimpy Kid, between some points of the movie and book, to where your theme is necessary when you're writing for the target audience, typically between the age of 8 and 12. For now, we'll just get into it.
But if she thinks I'm gonna write down my feelings, she's crazy. I don't have feelings, I have opinions.
Number 1. Know your audience.
What?
What are you doing? Get up! Mom and Dad have been calling you for an hour. You're about to be late for your first day of middle school.
What? Oh, jeez, how'd that happen?
Go, go, go! Mom's about to flip out. She sent me to get you while she waits in the car.
I know this book and film is typically for the ages of 8 to 12 for preteens, though as a family movie, I actually do enjoy the movie. I have watched it 3 times to be perfectly honest, and it is my favourite. Now, with the subject at hand of knowing your audience, yes, one thing I do find is they target the right audience with the themes about being a preteen with some of the different challenges that children face at school, and I also think there was some relatable subject matter between the adults within the story and with some of the other supporting characters. So the theme actually works well with knowing the target audience. With that being said, there are some middle grade stories that can be too idiotic to try to appeal to the audience. So because they've designed the book is for preteens and the movie is for a family audience, more people can watch it and enjoy it.
It was Roderick! He woke me up! He changed my clock!
Number 2. Choose a relatable theme. One of the strong themes within the story is on the popularity and social embarrassment. As an opening disclaimer, I was never popular at school, could you believe it?
Frankly, sent home for hygiene issues at least once a month.
Though, as far as embarrassment goes, everyone will face embarrassment within their life, no matter what. Then that's one of the things to learn early, accept it. No matter what you're trying to achieve, you will have times of embarrassing yourself. People will laugh, and people will get over it, we hope. Moving forward with the story, I'd like to focus on the illustrations. The illustrations are heavy within the book, and obviously Greg has creative ideas. Now in the film with the school paper, Rowley has creative ideas, which are creative differences. So the friendship goes a separate way for the time. Rowley ends up not being embarrassed and facing popularity, though Rowley is still wanting to be good friends with Greg. Greg's envy and jealousy does sabotage the friendship. And sometimes it's the same with creating other stories and books. There can be co-authors that have conflicts of interest and different creative ideas and go a separate project to focus on an independent path. And then sometimes some co-authors come back and work on another collaboration. There are so many choices in life, and I think with this heavy theme of the story between popularity and social embarrassment, I think it worked in quite well and it was relatable. The relatable theme is something to think about with your writing.
Zooey mama.
Number 3. Strong characterization. Within the social themes between popularity and social awkwardness, it is embedded with every single character through the theme, whether it's the awkwardness of the father, or whether it's the popularity of other students within the school. And there are just different ways of how the story unfolds and shows some different points and perspective. And I found the characterization, even though characters may be small within a role, they can have a strong personality to help the story come to life while using the theme of the story.
Stop! Good God, man! You almost got the cheese touch. The what?
Number 4. Incorporate the theme naturally. What this means is, We hear about showing the story versus telling the story. When you hear a narrator, the narrator tells you the story, and it can be a little cliche. When a story is unfolding in front of you, take for example the Greg character with his rise for popularity has consequences where the Rowley character faces the social awkwardness, and in some ways the popularity, due to Greg's surprise. When the story is more natural, it unfolds and you can work it out for yourself. This is where when a story is natural storytelling using the theme will come out and the reader will work it out for themselves. And that's one of the things to think about with middle grade stories, is the reader understanding the subject matter to understand the subject matter at hand.
Yeah, let's hear it for our other winner.
Yay, Greg!
Number 5. Use adventure and humour. Some of the adventure within the story is about escaping from the cheese touch, which, if anyone's unfamiliar, when I went to school, we heard about cooties or girl germ, boys germs if you touch someone.
Made the biggest mistake of his life. Darren touched the cheese! Darren had the cheese touch. It was worse than nuclear cooties.
Now with the cheese touch, the way this child explains the story of the cheese touch within the history, I couldn't help but laugh.
The only way to get rid of the cheese touch was by passing it on to someone else.
The cheese touch has had its way of building popularity for quite a lot of years, where a lot of people are familiar with the cheese touch.
I should go get one for you too. Yeah, I love the color.
And so began the cheese touch frenzy.
My son has been through school, and the cheese touch has happened from year 1 to year 5, and it is still used even today and quite common. So he is over the joke because of how much it's been within his school life.
That fateful day.
Deer has a cheese touch.
Der Cheese Touch? Wie bitte? Ich verstehe nicht. Warum rennt ihr? Was soll das heißen, der Cheese Touch?
So even though something can have some humour within a story, I found the joke quite hilarious, though for some it's not so funny, if you have a personal experience with the cheese touch.
He moved back to Düsseldorf and took the cheese touch with him.
Number 6. World building. The world building and the theme is still embedded. The social awkwardness and popularity begins at home. It is no different from the environment at school, and there are some parts of the themes that are relevant into other aspects outside of the home, into the neighbourhood. So when you are working on world building, there is also something to consider with the setting and the theme to be relevant throughout. The same applies with the theme of Harry Potter with talking about magic and that type of world building, where every setting has something related to that type of subject and theme. Number 7. Engage with the emotions of the characters and use the theme. I believe the part that hits me the most is when Greg is telling the truth about what he did that got Rowley in trouble. Though from there, the Rowley character identifying that he is not a good friend is important. This was my favourite part of the film, and it was also within some part not quite my favourite part with the story, because again the book is aimed for a middle grade audience and it is written differently. However, there was still something to learn from both mediums. Number 8. Growth, change and redemption. Through the story, yes, there is some growth between the characters, there is some changes for the characters, which is still part of the theme embedded into the same thing that we've talked about, popularity and social awkwardness. There is the redemption story for the Greg character in the first story, with the whole cheese touch issue of how Rowley was forced by teenagers to eat the cheese. Quite an issue, having older people trespassing. That's quite an offence. Now, within the story, yes, there are other parts where Greg is still a flawed character and he's going to take advantage of Rowley, and I think with Rowley, he needs to get rid of him and have a better group of friends.
Join me. Cheese Touch! Greg Heffley has the Cheese Touch!
Number 9. Leave room for interpretation. Sometimes some interpretation may be discovered and may not be discovered. Sometimes a story can be open-ended to whether a character has learnt a lesson or have they not. Sometimes a little bit of that within a story in the theme can move on towards other stories. Number 10. Parental guidance. I do believe with any movie, especially for authors that are under the age of 18, it is good to watch certain stories with our families and loved ones, especially if you're learning to write for that target audience. And I think within the theme and parental guidance, I think there is something to learn from other adults into collaborating on certain subject matter. That's why some book clubs can be handy, because sometimes sharing some different perspective helps us to grow as authors. And that's one thing I will always say with this type of growth. It is always good to be the student and then learning to be the teacher. And then good teachers also learn from being a student. There is a lot of things to learn within today's video and lots of things to think with discussion. Though work things out for yourself, how you feel about working on certain themes and how it can thread into different aspects of writing for your future projects. Otherwise, that's it for today, and I will see you all next time.